Hello, this is Professor Bonilla, and I am recording this video for both my current students and my past students. This is a quick update that I would like to share with you on some critical developments that happened in 2019 that I believe it's important for you to be up to date on. This is on the topic of corporate social responsibility and the thinking that we have regarding the role of business in society. Let's take a look. And so, um, what I'm going to share with you in this video is by no means meant to be a comprehensive review of what has been happening in the space of thinking about the role of business in society. But I do want to highlight for you the thinking that was prevalent in 1970 and how we have seen that change in 2019, almost 50 years later. Let me tell you more. In 1970, the economist Milton Friedman published an essay on the New York Times Magazine that came to be known as the Friedman Doctrine. You have probably heard about this, and even perhaps even without the name of the Friedman Doctrine, but basically the thought that Milton Friedman put out there was that the company's responsibility is only to its shareholders, that the shareholders are um, the stakeholders that we are mostly responsible for, and that our goal in business is just to maximize the returns to the shareholders. He said that companies really shouldn't be engaging in corporate social responsibility. He probably called it another name back then. And that if shareholders wanted to engage in charity or in making charitable contributions, that they should do and decide that on by themselves. And so I'm showing you on the screen the very first paragraph of this essay that was published again in the New York Times Magazine. Take a few moments and scan this paragraph. I will be silent. As I read this, my commentary is on the tone, for example, of the opening of this essay. I can tell that this topic had already been a controversial one for some time, and Milton was writing about it and sharing his opinions and his thoughts about it. I also note a certain like ironic tone of voice to it, a certain maybe cynic tone of voice. And something that jumps out at me is from the bottom of the paragraph, notice how there's even mention of socialism and pointing out that when companies engage in corporate social responsibility, that they are being socialist. So quite an interesting and strong words against corporate social responsibility. You can actually see the full essay at the link that I provide at the bottom. Now, in 2019, we saw quite a different take on this topic of the social responsibility of companies. And I would like to highlight for you two main two main developments during the year, in case that you missed them, but also to reflect with you on the impact of these developments that happened this year. First, the first development that I'd like to mention to you is this letter that Larry Fink, chairman and CEO of Blackrock, the largest investment firm in the world, on an annual basis, he publishes these letters. And this year, he titled his letter "Purpose and Profit." I provide at the bottom the link where you can read the entire thing. And so I would like to highlight a couple of things that Larry mentions in this letter. The left-hand side of this slide that I'm showing to you, Larry makes the case that with the political instability that we are seeing around the world, that he believes that the people are looking more at business leaders to provide more leadership, to take a stand on issues such as the environment, retirement, gender and racial inequality, and others. And then on the right hand side, he says profits are in no way inconsistent with purpose. In fact, they are inextricably linked, he says, and of course makes the case that a company must be profitable in order to be able to do good and engage in corporate social responsibility and in other pursuits, similar pursuits. And so, to what he mentions on the left hand side about business taking a bigger role and speaking up about different topics, we have definitely been seeing the trend of CEO activism. And it has in this slide I'm showing you headlines from 2017, from 2019, so very recent headlines that tell us about how different CEOs in the US have been speaking up about gun violence, for example, or about the trade war between the US and China. um, and so this has definitely been an important trend in recent years. BlackRock also continues to share in his letter. He provides a link to another article in which he shares about the due diligence that BlackRock does on companies that they consider investing in. And something that I found quite interesting was the questions that he mentions BlackRock asks of companies and organizations regarding strategy. We're not surprised about that, right? This will be something, strategy is something that is interesting to an investor. Purpose and culture strike me as topics that, quite interesting, right? That BlackRock would be asking organizations about their purpose and culture. And at the same time, it does make a lot of sense that an investor would be asking questions about the purpose and culture of the firm. Think about it. For example, if BlackRock or any other investor were to invest in Wells Fargo, wouldn't it make sense to ask questions about what is the culture that you are cultivating in your company, in your organization? What are the messages that you are sending to your employees about ethics, about how to conduct business? Those are important questions to ask for sure. And so, I am definitely personally very excited about seeing this. It makes a lot of sense to me, and it definitely speaks about an even deeper level of accountability that BlackRock is asking of the organizations that it invests in. And again, at the bottom of the slide, I provide the link where you can um, learn more and see the full document. A second development that happened this year is was the manifesto that the Business Roundtable um, published in August of 2019. The Business Roundtable brings together is an organization that brings together um, very very notable American companies, and as you can see here in the cover page of Fortune, you can see the CEO of IBM and the CEO of JP Morgan Chase. In this picture, in addition to a third CEO. And in this manifesto that the Business Roundtable put together, take a look at this. They actually, these CEOs of these notable American companies, they put together a manifesto in which they say it's as though they are responding to Milton Friedman and his essay back in 1970. And the CEOs are saying, you know what, we see ourselves committed to all of our stakeholders, and our stakeholders include a group of five stakeholders. It's not just our shareholders, but we are committed to, take a look here, the words highlighted in yellow. We are committed to our customers. We are committed to our employees. We are committed to our suppliers. We are committed to our communities. And finally, we remain to be committed to our shareholders. And they state this this that I'm showing you on this slide. This is a copy, a direct copy from the Business Roundtable's website where they published this manifesto. And they say at the bottom of this paragraph, each of our stakeholders is essential. And so I would like to point out to you the importance of this manifesto that the Business Roundtable did in 2019. These CEOs, American companies, they are telling us we no longer see ourselves only committed to our shareholders. We are no longer looking at ourselves is only responsible for turning a profit. We are acknowledging the commitment that we have to our multiple stakeholders. And so, for example, um, when we think about the cases in which we have a need for a product recall, we are committed to our customers. We must do right by our customers. We go ahead and we make the right decision and we recall the product that needs to be recalled. We invest in our employees. And for example, we are seeing this trend about these companies such as PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers. Um, PricewaterhouseCoopers has come out with a very strong training and reskilling program for its employees, in which its employees are getting to learn about the new technologies, artificial intelligence, and other similar technologies, so that they can continue to be relevant in the job market. and continue to have the skill sets that they need to keep their jobs. We are also committed to our suppliers. Um, you have seen and are knowledgeable, for example, about companies such as Nike and their large supplier networks, and how we need to partner with these suppliers, and we need to be aware of their practices, and we need to make sure that they are keeping responsible and sustainable practices. We are committed to the communities that we work in, and they mention protecting the environment, embracing sustainable practices. And finally, again, as we all know, and this is not changed, we are committed to our shareholders. As Larry Fink says, we must be a profitable business in order to be good. And so this is a very critical change in the way of thinking of who are we committed to, and definitely something to reflect upon and to engage. I definitely encourage you to find out, how is your employer um, living this manifesto? How is your company engaged with this new way of thinking? Because these are values for us to inform our business decisions, to inform how we go about doing our work on a day-to-day basis. And so you may have heard, or you may have not heard about the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. This is something that I have incorporated in my management skills class since the fall of 2018. The United Nations years ago established this set of 17 goals, very ambitious goals, in basically changing the world. And the United Nations has reached out to business and said to us, business, we need your help in order to make these sustainable development goals a reality. And what I have seen most recently, the deadline to reach these goals is the year of 2030. And what I have seen most recently is that we are running behind in meeting these goals. I mean, for sure, these are very aspirational goals. They are very big goals, as you can tell. Look, for example, at number one, having no poverty, eradicating poverty 100% by 2030, having zero hunger by 2030. Um, number 14, for example, life below water. We know the big challenges that we have in the oceans, and all the trash that has been reaching our oceans and impacting our the lives um, of the animals in the waters. So for sure, very interesting area for you to learn more about. I encourage you to take some time and research it, if this is something you're not familiar with. Since the fall of 2018, I have been engaging my management skills students to participate in a program called Aim to Flourish. And we have been publishing stories on the Aim to Flourish website to highlight companies that are doing good, that have incorporated innovations in their way of doing work, that have a relationship and an impact on these sustainable development goals. And here I'm showing you this is a picture from an article that I published in late 2018 about 5 businesses that my students wrote stories about. Very exciting stuff. You can find it on my LinkedIn blog. Definitely take a look. Very exciting stories. And so, just as I am sharing this information with you, the news has come in that Greta Thunberg has been declared the Time Person of the Year for 2019. And this is another great story of a young person, 16 years old, Greta Thunberg, making an impact about sustainability and climate change. I definitely encourage you to read more about her if you haven't had the chance to yet. And so at Rutgers, I am starting to become more involved with the Rutgers Institute for Corporate Social Innovation, the acronym RICSI. And I'm very excited about the work we are doing in this space. I hope to join a photo that we take in the future, since I'm not part of this wonderful group of people in this photo taken in the past. And something that Rixie is doing in the spring, we're going to host a conference March 26th and 27th. We're going to host a conference about the Sustainable Development Goals and how we include this into our business curriculums. I'm expecting that we will be joined by very well-known people in the sustainability space, um, and also by sustainability professionals. So I definitely encourage you, if this is interesting to you, to learn more about the conference. You can find the information. This is just hot off the press. You can find the information on this website to learn more about the conference and the agenda planned so far. We are in the middle of planning it. The agenda is not fully finalized, but you will definitely see some updates coming up. And you can actually also register for the conference on Eventbrite. Students will be able to get reduced rates. So if you are a student and are interested in participating, please do reach out. Don't buy tickets online. If you are already in the business community and working, I do encourage you to sign up and register for the conference. Should be a great, great conference. I'm very excited that we are hosting this at Rutgers Business School. And so here are the links. If you would like to talk more about this, here are my emails. Please do get in touch. I am so excited to share this information with you. Thank you for watching this video, and I definitely look forward to partnering with you and doing more work around this space. Take care, and looking forward to talking with you soon.